Hey everyone. So I wanted to talk to you today about the number one factor that has been demonstrated to be the most important thing, the most important quality that a human being can cultivate in order to have a happy, healthy life. So social scientific research is sometimes not so accurate in its predictions, and the more any science is able to replicate an experiment and validate the same results from different populations over different times, over different socioeconomic status, with different researchers, then the more we can say, wow, this is more accurate, this is more likely to be representative of a truth. And one experiment that has been replicated over and over and over and over again with consistent results is something that you may have heard of, and that's called the Marshmallow Experiment. Well, the Marshmallow Experiment, to tell a little bit of the tale about it, the Marshmallow Experiment started with a gentleman who was a social scientific researcher and who was at home with his children, and he thinks in this way, and he was just kind of playing a game with his kids, and he said, well, okay, here children's friends, you can have one marshmallow now, but if you wait a minute, you can have two marshmallows. And he didn't think anything of it. It was just a fun game at the time. But then, because his brain is primed to think about things in these ways, he started noticing qualities and characteristics of his children's friends over time. And then he decided to design some formal experiments in which he followed people with this same experiment over time. And this experiment now has been verified over and over and over again, as I'm saying, and the results are in about the number one factor required to have a happy, healthy life. For a long time, psychology has thought that was self-esteem, feeling good about yourself. In fact, that's been proven potentially to even have an inverse effect on a happy life, especially if we're rearing children in order to boost their self-esteem. One, they start to feel like they kind of sense the dishonesty when we tell them good job for doing something that really either wasn't that hard to do, or perhaps they didn't even do it well. We tell them good job for eating, and that's something that they're supposed to do. It's natural. They're like, why are you telling me good job? Or good job for tying your shoes, or we make a big deal out of things that aren't really a big deal in order to boost their self-esteem. And then what happens is over time they actually get addicted to that praise, and their identity is based on the need for that praise and to be told that they're doing a good job, or they get medals or rewards, but they know inside that they didn't really try that hard, or they didn't really do their best, all these things. And so what ends up happening is that they become accustomed to this praise, then they get the dopamine fix from getting this praise, and then they don't want to risk doing anything that is too challenging because they may fear that they won't get the praise. And so they don't take chances, don't take risks, aren't willing to fail, and because they aren't willing to risk that maybe they're not going to get the praise that they've become accustomed to as their identity, as their self-esteem. So the self-esteem movement has actually been proven to not be so effective and potentially even counterproductive. Now, what has been proven, coming back to the Marshmallow Experiment, is that with uncanny accuracy, there are direct correlations between the amount of time a child chooses to either eat the marshmallow or wait. And there's direct correlations between, say, a child who eats the marshmallow within 0 to 5 seconds, and then their future 10, 15, 20 years later, they're more likely to be in jail, addicted to drugs, having impulse problems, And then the people that wait the whole minute and get 2 marshmallows are more likely to be what our society considers successful, healthy, happy people, lawyers, doctors, yada, yada, yada. Those are obviously cliche examples, maybe outdated cliche examples of what it means to be a happy, healthy person. Point being is that they are well-regulated, content, happy, healthy, successful adults based on this one factor. And this one factor is the willingness to delay gratification in order to get a better result. The willingness to tolerate discomfort now in order to get a better result later. And so that, largely related to will and willpower, is considered the number one factor for a healthy, happy life, more than any other virtue, emotion, experience, etc., is the willingness to tolerate discomfort now or to put off immediate pleasure in order to get a bigger, better fruition and result in the future. And then, hi Jen. And so the willingness to delay gratification now for a better result in the future is the number one factor that has been demonstrated over and over and over again in research study after research study after research study. So my question is, why then, if willpower, if this willingness is a muscle, it is like a muscle in that it can be trained, it can be cultivated, it can also be fatigued and exhausted and depleted. Why aren't we teaching this to our children? If we know that the self-esteem movement is a fallacy, if the good job for tying your shoes and that a boy for eating your broccoli is demonstrated to be counterproductive, actually to be harmful to children because they become addicted to that praise and are therefore unwilling to take risks, and that might cause them to fail or not succeed and not get the praise. Instead, why don't we teach them to cultivate this willingness, this skill to delay gratification now in order to gain a better fruit in the future, and to praise effort and perseverance and will, and as that is what we praise process instead of result. We praise, wow, you really did your best there, or wow, you really tried a bunch of different angles and then you kept going and you kept going. So if we praise, if we build up the child's awareness of this concept that the number one factor for a happy, healthy life is not what I want right here, right now, but the willingness to wait patiently, or maybe not so patiently sometimes, but just to wait and cultivate and build up energy and build up energy and build up energy so that I can get a better result in the future. And that study has been borne true all across the world, multiple different populations, multiple different ages, multiple different socioeconomic statuses. And it started with the Marshmallow Experiment in someone's home, figuring out, wow, my kids' friends who waited the whole minute to get 2 marshmallows are in way better shape in life than the ones that ate it right away. All right, so willpower is a muscle. It can be exercised, it can be built, it can also be fatigued to the point of depletion, which is why maybe you'll notice is that as the day goes on and we are constantly using our will to kind of keep us on track, avoid temptations, distractions, etc. And then by the end of the day, that willpower muscle is fatigued, and then we end up maybe, watching 3 episodes of Netflix or eating a pint of ice cream because we no longer have the will to delay that gratification, and we engorge ourselves. And so it's really useful to remember to set up strategies for that. And so to front load your day by doing the things that are most valuable for you and doing what is called good returns on investment. So doing things early on in the day that are going to not only be the things that you want to focus most of your energy on and give most of your best time to, but also on things that are going to give you back energy. There are certain things that we can do in our life that are going to be get a good return on investment. Meditation, exercise, things that require willpower, but if we do them, we get more willpower, we get more energy back. Spending time in nature, reading a good book, taking things slow, avoiding getting on technology, etc. And so we front load our day with those so that we build up our muscles early, and we A, get a good start to the day, but B, we have more willpower towards the end of the day when things are dissipating. And knowing that they're going to be dissipating, we can also set up strategies so that we are not so easily tempted by certain things. Say we're trying to, stop eating sugar or something like that. Well, then we might want to avoid those temptations later on in the night and know that we're going to be more susceptible to them because our willpower muscle is fatigued from all of our activities throughout the day. So a couple takeaways: the willingness to delay gratification is the number one factor that contributes to a healthy, happy life. The willingness to tolerate discomfort now in order to get a better result in the future. And willpower is a muscle that can be built. This should be taught to our children, and children become kind of disgusted with disingenuous praise. And so let's build up their effort, their perseverance muscles, and not necessarily patting them on the back for everything that they know in their heart is not that big a deal. Love you all. Have a great day.